Good morning, friends. Welcome back to Zeitgeist Second Sem Common. Today we are dealing with the second part of the short story TOBA TEK by Saadat Hasan Manto. Vishen Singh got a daughter who was grown up now. She always cried when she saw her father. And when disturbances began, he started asking where TOBA TEK was to the relatives. His visits also stopped. He never gets satisfactory answers. And he got a very special capacity, or he could identify the impulses of people who visits him. Just like a fortune telling, he can understand him that his friends or relatives will visit him today. But even that inner voice stopped after this partition. He wanted the visitors. He always waited for them because they bring him happiness, clothes, fruits, sweets, and such things. He was convinced they could not tell him where TOBA TEK was, whether in India or Pakistan. And there was another inmate too. He thought he was a god by himself. And he announces that he is deciding the partition of India and Pakistan, and he locates each place he distributes each place whether to be located in India or Pakistan. Then TOBA TEK approaches him and just requests him, can you tell me where TOBA TEK his hometown was? But he says that I haven't decided it yet. I will tell you if I decide. Okay, in each words, in the each characterization, we can feel that utter foolishness of partition. A few days before their transfer into India and Pakistan borders, TOBA TEK got, or Vishen Singh got, a visitor, an old friend called Fasaluddin. And he was asked by the relatives of Vishen Singh to visit him always. He has heard that Vishen Singh will soon be taken to Hindustan. All his relatives, including daughter, also moved to Hindustan. He asked Vishen Singh to convey his friends' greetings to Bhai Balbir Singh and Vada Singh and sister Amard Kaur. Fasaluddin also gives Vishen Singh some sweets. And though he is happy with the sweet, he hands over the sweet back to the guards. Fasaluddin first said TOBA TEK was now in Hindustan. They said it is in Pakistan. He too feels confused. Vishen Singh repeated his mad sentence and walked away. So all the preparations for the transfer was done. Lists of the patients were exchanged and the day was fixed for the transfer. And to talk about it was an extremely cold day. The lunatics were taken in lorries. The lorries were filled with the Hindus and sick lunatics left the asylum. They were accompanied by the police and other higher officials. And they reached the Wagah border. After the initial formalities, the formal transfer began. The lunatics were taken out of the lorries and handing them over to the Indian officials was a hard task. Most of them refused to leave the lorries. See how pathetic the situation was. The ones who left ran about wildly, making it difficult to control them. Some removed their clothes, some swore and cursed, some sang and some fought and some cried. These were the reactions from lunatics. There was utter confusion. Women were also a problem. It was very cold and the weather made their teeth chatter. Most lunatics did not like the transfer because they did not understand the reason for uprooting them. They don't feel what is the meaning or what is the difference between Pakistan or Hindustan. Some people shouted Pakistan Zindabad and Pakistan Murdabad. And it made people angry and it was difficult to stop them fighting. And when the turn of the Bishan Singh came to transfer, the officials asked his name in the register. Where is the TOBA TEK Singh? In India or Pakistan? The official said, in Pakistan. On hearing this, he ran back to the group waiting for their turn into the border of Pakistan. The Pakistan soldiers caught him and forced him back to the checkpoint again. He resisted them strongly. And there is a confusion occurs in between the soldiers of Pakistan and the Hindustan about the location of TOBA TEK Singh. When the guards threatened to use force, he stood in a place between the borders as if no power could move him. Because he was a harmless man, they allowed him to stay there while the transfer continued. And before the setting of the sun, a piercing cry arose from Bishan Singh. He has been silent all this time. You know, when the story starts, we can have him always uttering meaningless words, gibberish words. Several officers and the guards ran towards him. They saw the man who had stood on his legs day and night for 15 years now lay prostrate on the ground. He is in prostrating position now. His own side was in Hindustan and other side in Pakistan. In the middle, on a stretch of a land that had no name, lay TOBA TEK Singh. So that is the end of the story. TOBA TEK Singh uses each and every word, as I told you, to talk about this foolishness of partition. He uses sarcasm or satire at its most highest tone to talk about this partition that he too felt in his personal life. Let's rewind some of the important points that you can expect for exam. The lunatic asylum was situated in Lahore, a city in Pakistan, and Rupa Kaur was the name of Bishan Singh's daughter, and the real name of TOBA TEK Singh was Bishan Singh. And the Zamindar is name of a newspaper that is characterized in this story. Okay, that is the end of our today's class. Thank you.